Also, as you leverage your money and then you use the cash flow that you invest in, you're going to use that cash flow to pay the insurance company back on the loans that you're earning arbitrage on, right? Remember that concept on how the banks make money. You're gonna pay back those loans that you're earning arbitrage on, but as you're paying back those loans, you're recapitalizing your own personal reserve, which in turn creates additional capital for greater accumulation and more future use, so you can repeat that process. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? In this video, we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite things, and that is talking about how infinite banking can help you create wealth like banks do. Now, this tends to be, I should say, kind of a complicated conversation for a lot of people. So before I get into how you can replicate a profitable financial system like a bank, it's important to first understand the mechanisms of how banks actually create wealth for themselves. And what I'm gonna do here is attempt to make this as simple and streamlined as possible for you, because like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. A lot of people make it more complicated than it needs to be. And I was kind of taught from the school of thought that if you can't explain it to a 10-year-old, it's probably too complicated. So I'm gonna try to keep it, at that level for you in this video. So let's take a look, before I get into anything else, at the traditional banking system, how they make money, and then we're gonna get into how you can actually replicate that in your own financial world through the use of infinite banking, right? So that's important to understand. So there are basically three ways that banks can create wealth. The first way is that the banks leverage your money to create new loans for borrowers, right? They use each dollar more than once. This is really important to understand. This is how banks create wealth with leverage. Every dollar that they have on deposit can be used to create other streams of revenue through loans. So here's what they do. They create their own massive amounts of arbitrage. I use the phrase arbitrage a lot, right? Because the spread that we can earn on the cost of money and what we can earn on that money. So a bank does this. The cost of money for them is when you put your money on a deposit, they're paying you, let's say, 1/10 of a percentage for you to hold that money in a savings account. So that is their cost of money, is that 1/10 of a percent, right? But here's the deal. The banks are masters at this. They then turn that money around and they lend it to somebody, let's say at 4%, right? For a mortgage or something like that. Effectively, what they do is they get a 3,900% return on your money based on the cost of their money, right? So then number two, what they do is the cash flow from the banks, the cash flow that the banks receive, I should say, from the newly created loans, because now they lend your money out and they get cash that comes back and they get profit. So the profit that they have from the loan that they put out there into the market based on your money on deposit, that increases their capital base. Now this allows them to repeat the process and loan out even more money, which is going to in turn, again, increase their returns. In doing this, what they do is they get into number three, and ultimately all they do is they repeat that process over and over and become wealthy while controlling the capital and controlling the risks. It's all about control, and because banks ultimately hold the control, they can create that, right? Now, the reason I'm a huge believer of infinite banking is because it gives you the ability to effectively replicate this process, the bank's process here, of creating wealth in your own life, right? So here's how it works with infinite banking. First and foremost, you can create leverage the same way. Now, a properly designed whole life insurance policy, which I know a lot of people are confused about. If this is the first video you watched of mine, maybe you're kind of thinking like, why would I ever put money into a whole life policy? Well, a properly designed whole life insurance policy implementing infinite banking will get your dollars performing more than one use for you. Remember, we need to get our dollars performing more than one function for us, and that's what the banks do really well. It will function as a savings account for you. It'll function as an emergency account for you, and it'll also provide an opportunity fund for you as we go through the cyclical nature of markets, right? In addition, it's going to provide you a guaranteed death benefit, and it's going to come with living benefits. The reality is there's no other product in the world that can perform all those functions for you aside from whole life insurance. What I haven't talked about so far, or up in the portion where I talked about the banks, is the fact that banks know that whole life insurance works so well for this that they actually use it themselves. In fact, In Barry Dyke's book, The Pirates of Manhattan, he does a lot. Actually, I got it right here. And I did not plan this, by the way. I just happened to be studying and reading this today. On page 140, actually, in this book, it's pretty amazing. I think it's, yeah, see, I've read this a bunch of times. You can see here, all of the banks, let's see if it does this. Those are the billions of dollars that these banks have in capital reserve that they save because they know they can leverage this money in whole life capital money, cash value inside of whole life policies for the banks actually can be leveraged and utilized as what they call a tier one asset, meaning they can then lend out and leverage out that money in the same way. So if the banks are doing it, why wouldn't you? Because it's important to understand that whole life insurance is the only asset that a bank can hold on its balance sheet outside of cash to leverage out, as I described above, right? So they do this in the realm of billions of dollars, like I just showed you. So the second thing that infinite banking will do for you, the second step that you can, how you utilize infinite banking to make money like the banks do, and I talk about this in my book a lot, Cash Flow Hacking, and if you are interested in that, make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit the bell, that way you get notified, because the book just came out. I've got a lot of content coming out about this, and you can get a free copy of the book down below by utilizing the link in the description. You can go to Amazon, pay 20 bucks for it, or go to the link in the description below, get it for free. Just pay the $8.95 for shipping and handling, and the rest of it's on us. But here's the bottom line. By leveraging the infinite banking system in your life and following the principles in this system, you can create cash flow through the assets that you invest in, right? But here's the deal. You'll also create more cash flow because you'll experience uninterrupted compounding of your own money. Also, as you leverage your money, and then you use the cash flow that you invest in, you're going to use that cash flow to pay the insurance company back on the loans that you're earning arbitrage on, right? Remember that concept on how the banks make money. You're gonna pay back those loans that you're earning arbitrage on, but as you're paying back those loans, you're recapitalizing your own personal reserve, which in turn creates additional capital for greater accumulation and more future use, so you can repeat that process. So that gets to number 3, which is the velocity of money. Obviously, just getting a whole life policy or putting money in a savings account of any kind isn't gonna get you anywhere. It's not going to get you where you want to be. You need to get that money moving and working for you, right? That's important to understand. So I'm going to summarize here. The first thing you do is you leverage the money inside of your whole life policy and you invest in cash flow assets, right? And then you utilize that money to recapitalize your account. The cash flow that you get from those cash flow assets, you utilize that money to recapitalize your account as you pay back the loans. And then what you do is you, once again, like the banks do, you just repeat that process over and over and over and over. And that is how you create more wealth quicker with less risk, and you control the entire process. That is how you reach financial freedom faster without gambling in the Wall Street casino. So if you have any questions about that at all, like I said, I'm keeping this really simple. Hopefully now you understand the banks make money in 3 ways, and you can basically turn around and implement those 3 ways in your own life. And if you found value in this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the bell, that way you get notified every time I launch a new video. If you have any questions about this at all, comment in the comment section below. I do my best to engage with every single comment. And as always, until next video, have a blessed, inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.